Hello everybody, I have finally decided to get Master Rank now that I didn't have to play a 10-year long match against Tier every time, and or play Tier myself. I quite enjoy the deck, but there's only so much of it you can handle. Either way, I am playing Naturia Spright right now, and this duel is against Runick Spright, and hopefully you'll learn why Naturia Spright is far superior to Runick Spright. Alright, so I have Maxi in hand going second, so it kinda would have seemed like a done duel if they didn't have Act, but let's keep going. So, alright, so now with that we know every card in their hand. They search starter, that's one of the cards in their hand, and they have Runick Fountain, that's the other card, alright? Alright, so now they summon Elf, they get a draw one, now there's one unknown card in their hand. To summon up here, the hand has two unknowns. Make Masquerina. Put Fountain. Alright, so they end with Masquerina, Elf, Capsho, Starter, Fountain, and two cards in their hand. One could argue that this isn't Starter, but that's pretty goony for them to do when they don't even have a red in their graveyard. It's definitely a Starter, so it can search red if the opponent is actually playing a more monster-based deck than a trap-based deck that you would need Carrot for. So, my play all depends on the Runick card I draw because these cards are main phase only. So, if I could get rid of Elf before the main phase, then suddenly they don't get a +1 with Hyperia, or they don't get a spell card negate. I mean, you see how many spell cards I have in my hand with Carrot. So, let's see what we can do. Alright. So, my turn. I draw Golden Droplet. That shit's useless, so we're going to the main phase. I activate Fountain. They see Fountain. They know I'm playing spell cards, so they're gonna summon a Carrot. Alright. Now I do Smiting Storm. I'm trying to get rid of as many good Runick cards that they can draw into. So I managed to hit Tip. That's, you know, the best Runick card because it's all of them. And the way I'm doing this, what I'm doing is that I want to make sure that I am chain link blocking the Carrot. So I activated Smiting Storm because I still want to draw a decent amount of cards with Fountain, even with my chain block. So I just get Smiting Storm to do its effect because it actually has an effect that you can trigger no matter what as long as you're going second. I mean, usually. And Droplet. Those are my only two active Runick cards that actually do their banishment effects. Dispelling is the dog card that you're gonna use to summon your Hugin so that she can chain block, so that Carrot doesn't stop your draws. Alright? So, Hugin, Fountain, draw 2, discard Blessing because I'm gonna get another Fountain and I want to trigger it using Golden Droplet. Okay? Alright, so I got two Runicks again. Let's do it again. Carrot negates this for some reason. Yeah, I don't quite understand this play. They could have masqueraded into Unicorn. And Capsho would have given them a card draw. I don't know. I guess they thought they could revive Masquerina using Elf, but they can't because they had already revived with Elf that turn. So why kill off your Masquerina? Yeah. Either way, that was a pretty big misplay, especially because I could just Hugin it. And now, because they did what they did, I am actually privy to making another chain link block play by getting Fountain from the graveyard with Gary so that I can draw another one. Because again, my hand looks pretty dog, right? I haven't used my normal summon yet, but this is a pretty trash hand. So they've now revealed that one of the cards in their hand is Veiler. Not gonna lie, that's pretty cringe. Yeah, place Veiler and Runick Spright. Either way, Gary's been negated, that's whatever. I drew Cricket. So that's one of the starters for the deck, and this is a very strong starter. So the second, you know, I have Cricket. Even before then, you should already be having the red on the field if you're my opponent, because that's the only other active interaction that they have. They can't red, blue, you know, they could blue, but well, what's it gonna do? Die? Right? No. They should have done this earlier, but they didn't, so now they're paying for it. I have Camellia and Sunflower. Camellia activate. You always want to resolve as many Camellia effects as possible before you get your draws with Runick. Either way, blue activates. Okay. Sentry. Since Capsule got tributed, it actually got to draw them one, so now I just have to hope it's not a Runick card. Well, it was a Runick card, and it was the exact Runick card that could get triggered off of something like that. Or maybe they had it in their hand to begin with, but nah, it was definitely the card they drew, you know. This other card is up. Okay. They activated Flashing Fire, and I activate Somber to protect against Flashing Fire. Alright, now they're trying to draw with Runick Fountain, and I can't stop them. They have 3 cards. They've negated my Burial Goods. That was a good thing, because if they didn't, I would have gotten a Sacred Tree in to get me another Blessing to do some combo plays. But I can't, so best I can do is this. So why I'm summoning Coral Dragon instead of Stardust Charge Warrior, and this is something you always want to do if you're going against Runick for the most part. You summon Coral Dragon because if they Flashing Fire, which they already did this turn, Coral Dragon still draws 2. And they can't use the negate, they can't use Freezing Curses to prevent the draw 1 because Freezing Curses doesn't stop graveyard effects. So even if I had a Naturia Blessing to keep my Gary and summon Stardust Charge Warrior, I'd go for Coral Dragon every time in this case. Either way, most straightforward answer to this is Baron de Fleur. That was a really good draw. So Baron is now gonna try to pop Runick Fountain. There's nothing they can do to protect it because Elf is still in the main monster zone. Okay? So, with that in mind, that's gonna die. And now, if they want to get another Fountain, or if they want to get Elf, if they want to get another Fountain, or they want to get their old Fountain back, they're gonna have to Gary and or Huggin, and yeah. Either way, I have Freezing Curses in my hand. I am now going to negate Elf before we get to the main phase. Okay. And with that in mind, I've banished some pretty decent cards. It seems like one of the cards I actually did banish was a Runick Fountain, so the only way they can get anything back is with Gary, and I think most decks play like 1 or 2 Gary. Yeah, either way, they probably have like 1 Gary. I drew 3 from this, and I got Flashing Fire and Dispelling, both pretty decent. I have Flashing Fire now. I'm gonna destroy Carrot. And yeah, it's It's that simple. They actually had a pretty good draw and wind-up kitten that forces out the Baron to floor. Baron to floor negates. And now they make Gigantic, but they make Gigantic, I make Cricket. Cricket jumps, makes Naturia. Whoever Gigantic sends with Naturia will have gotten Camellia to summon Sunflower. Sunflower, yeah, I mean, y'all know. This is, you know, a very, very strong deck. I really hate the mirror match. It's, yeah, it's neuron devolving. I prefer playing, so many of you may have seen the Joshua Schmidt deck for this where he runs Trishula. Sadly, I'm a broke bitch and I don't have Trishula. Though I think it's alright. I actually much prefer Croco Dragon for its draw power. Because you're usually gonna get a draw 2 of it. You can destroy a card on the field. And you know, if you're really winning hard, you can get the legendary draw 3 with Cricket, Flower, Camellia, and Hugin. And yeah, draw 3 plus draw 3 from this dog, draw 3 from this dog, maybe another draw 2? Yeah. Either way, it's a lot of drawing you're gonna do. You're gonna do real good if you manage to be in a position to summon this guy. But you usually won't. Usually the inboard will consist of something like Hugin, maybe one of these two, this kid, or this kid, or this kid, Naturia Beast. You want to run a lot of the Runick quick plays. In general, I say that the most swappable things are another droplet and getting rid of Dispelling, just so that you have more Runick cards that you can activate, not just for special summoning, but activate to do, you know, more drawing on turn 1. These are all great turn 2, but maybe you've got to unbrick your hand and droplet. While it gives your opponent +1, it has the potential to give you much more because, you know, Fountain and all those crazy shenanigans. Either way, hope you guys can climb as well using this deck. I've quite enjoyed it. It's not weak to Max C like a couple of these other decks. And yeah, honestly, that's the biggest thing. It's not weak to Max C. It's not like the other Runick decks where it has trouble getting rid of the main monster zone. You've got Donner for Hire to get rid of a card in the main monster zone. You've got Camellia, which you should be able to consistently access because you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 searches for Camellia plus 3 copies of Camellia itself. That's 9 Camellias. With all those drawings, you should probably see a Camellia to be able to get rid of your Hugin to make a Stardust Charge Warrior or a Coral Dragon. So, all in all, you aren't gonna have too much consistency issues using this deck. That's one real great things about decks that synergize with Runick, like Runick Spright before that got mauled by the Sprite cards being all fairly limited now. Yeah, in general, I'd say this deck performs really well against most hand traps. If someone ashes you, you just synchro into Stardust Charger, you get your +1 draw, and then you try to Hugin again. And if someone imperms the Hugin that time, well, you could feel for the imperm. You would have summoned Coral Dragon instead, and what you do is you use the Sunflower plus you use the Cricket plus the Hugin plus the Coral Dragon in order to make Croco Dragon, and that gives you +2, and hopefully you should be able to have gotten Fountain that time, but you know, if they action imperm you and then you have a third Runick card, you can go for your third Hugin, and now you'll finally have your Fountain. You'd have wasted 2 of their interruptions, you'd have drawn 2 using this dog. I mean, it's very resilient to interruptions, so yeah. I think this is one of the better decks to climb with, at least until you hit Diamond 1, where people play a lot of random bullshit. Like high rolling stuff. Then something much more controlled like the typical Tearlaments board or Dragon Link or Sword Soul may do you better. But yeah, y'all have a good one. Later.